I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright, blessed days, dark, sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colours of a rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, "How do you do?" They're really saying, "I love you." I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I absolutely love that. It always gets me going. I always feel sorry for the frog. It doesn't quite catch the dragonfly when it kind of jumps up. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to this first webinar of the year of 2024, first of many, hopefully, for what we're planning. And this is all about the 5 things that are stopping you from working in conservation this year and how to break through those barriers as well. So if you're passionate about the planet, okay, if you're driven by purpose, if you're seeking a career that makes a real difference, or perhaps you're looking for a new career, okay, new year, new career, maybe that's you as well, then you're in the right place. Okay, so my name's Nick from Conservation Careers, Nick Askew. It's a real pleasure to kind of welcome you here. I've been working now in conservation for about 25 years, okay, and I've worked in almost every nook and cranny of the conservation sector across that time, starting off in science and research, then ecological consultancy, before moving into communications and fundraising, and now running Conservation Careers for the last 10 years. And through that time, I've worked in the academic, public, private, and charity sectors for employers large and small. Okay. And I'm here to help you to navigate your options and to enjoy successful careers. That's what Conservation Careers is all about, helping you to enjoy a successful career. Now, joining me today, and as usual, is my partner in crime, is Christy Foster, over in Rio with the beautiful background, which apparently was taken just yesterday. Hey, Christy, how you doing?
Hi, Nick. Hi, everyone. I'm doing really well. Yeah, this was a view of Rio from the top of a mountain yesterday. So I'm normally based in Canada. I'm based in Rio right now. I worked in the conservation sector for about 10 years in a range of different countries and continents and a range of different roles, different types of jobs. And for the past, I guess, almost 5 years now, I've been here with Conservation Careers supporting other conservationists to navigate their own paths in the sector and find their own dream jobs. So I work here as head of programs. And yeah, just really excited to kick off the year this way.
Yeah, likewise. Okay, well, let's give you a bit of an overview of what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about today, okay, and how we're going to help you over the next hour or so. Okay, so what we're going to cover is, I guess, 3 main things. Everything comes in threes in my world. It's nice and easy that way. So the first thing is we're going to talk about the 5 biggest barriers, okay, which could be stopping you from becoming a conservationist this year. So if your ambition is to move into the conservation sector or to explore it in more detail because you're interested in it, we're going to talk about the barriers that people perceive, okay, and how you can avoid them, okay, most importantly, okay, how you're going to break through those barriers, okay, and kind of keep going. The second thing is, okay, we're going to talk about how you break through those barriers, and then we're going to talk about how to name your dream conservation job, okay, to help you to move forward. It's such an important thing, okay, so having clarity about the direction or the target job or the niche or the pathway, or whatever you want to call it, okay? And we're going to kind of give you some hints and tips and lead you through a very simple exercise, which is going to help you to start naming that job, okay? And then from there, okay, it's quite easy then to figure out, okay, what are the gaps you need to fill? What experience might you need or education, okay? And how do you become fully employable for that role, okay? Now, at the end, we'll also talk about how we can provide you a chance to secure your dream conservation job with our support this year. Okay, so we're running the Conservation Career Kickstarter program. It's our 6th or maybe even 7th year of running the program now, and we're currently offering a 33% discount until Friday. Okay, we'll share more details at the end. But if you want to do some of this with our support, okay, we're here for you. Okay, and there's an opportunity to do so at the moment that it's live. Okay. And then at the end of the presentation, okay, we're also here just to answer any questions you might have, any career-related questions. So do hang around, okay, we'll be here to answer those questions for you. Okay, so as we kind of lead into the presentation this evening, I'd really like to kick off with you guys. Okay, if you can just jump to the chat box, you should be able to find chat somewhere. It'd be great if you could just say hello and where you are in the world. Okay, so I'm Nick, I'm in the UK, I'm in Northamptonshire. We've got Christy in Rio, Brazil. Okay, who are you and where are you? It'd be lovely to hear from that. So please do jump to the chat. Okay, and it's great to see so many of you on the call today. We'd love to kind of see and hear where you are at the moment. Now, as you do that, okay, let's just take a moment to kind of think, why might you work into conservation? Why might anyone want to work in conservation? Okay. Now, we're not here to kind of glorify conservation as this perfect place that everyone should work, but if it is right for you, there's a few reasons as to why it might be. Okay, so conservation provides a real, I think, sense of purpose, okay, and fulfillment that really, I think, few other professions can offer. It's really nice to kind of wake up and feel excited about going to work and excited about the work and the impact that you're going to be having through your activities. Another really important reason I think why work in conservation is that wildlife really urgently needs you. Okay, I think we're all quite aware that Earth is under threat right now from habitat destruction and climate change and invasive species and many other threats. Okay, and we're seeing wildlife and lots of things that we care and love about slowly slipping away. Okay, so working to protect that is a really important time right now. It's really timely. Okay, finally, it's also, I think, your chance to kind of leave a bit of a lasting legacy. Okay, so it's never too late to switch careers. Okay, and the sector does need you. It is growing, it is expanding. Okay, it's professionalizing all the time, and more there is space for new people to enter this sector, and that's really what we're here to do and help you support to do that. Christy, have you got any ideas as to kind of why or suggestions why people might want to work in conservation as people are kind of sharing their comments here into the chat about where they are?
Lots. I just wanted to say too, apologies. It looks like we managed to disable the chat.
Oh no.
So we've got some comments in the Q&A. We'll see if we can figure that out.
Yeah, feel free to use Q&A for now. Yeah, instead, that's absolutely fine. Jump to Q&A. We'd still love to hear where you are. So yeah, thank you, everyone. I can see Beth in East Midlands. Well done, Beth, for getting to Q&A. That's welcome.
Yeah, and in terms of working in conservation, I think, a lot of people think it's not for them, or there's not a lot of work available. And actually, conservation needs all the help that we can get. It's for everyone. And there's tons of jobs out there, way more than most people know about. We work with a lot of career switchers who can bring a ton of value to conservation with the skills and the experience that they already have that conservation employers need. So that's another big reason if you're thinking about switching into conservation as a career, to go for it. And also, it's never too late. I mean, we support people at all stages of their careers, from their teens through to their 70s, and so it's never too late to make that switch. There's always an opportunity to switch over, and it's not too late for conservation either. There's always a chance to transform the industry and make a big difference. So yeah, we could go on for a while about why to join conservation.
Lots of reasons. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry about the chat, but thank you also for using the Q&A, everyone. Appreciate that. Who have we got here? We got someone anonymous. Okay, but you're from Tenerife, but you're living in Wales. That's quite a kind of transition already. Welcome. You got Liz from the northwest of the UK. It's a very cold evening. It's really cold. I had a little bit of snow here today in Northampton, where I am. Got Abraham in Connecticut, US. Welcome. Rosie. Welcome, Rosie. We recognize you. Some nice familiar names in here. Who else have we got? We got Jeff in Minnesota. Sienna in Massachusetts. Welcome, Tom in Hampshire, Emily in Washington, D.C. Got Grace in Bolton, Aideen in Ireland. So we've got Ireland, Wales, UK, America so far. Got France and Hong Kong, Nicholas. East Midlands, Anthony. Anthony, welcome. We know you. Yeah. Susie in Stratford-upon-Avon and so on. Malian in Italy and Warsaw we have here as well. Lucas as well. So thank you and welcome everyone. I can't get through all of you, but it's really nice to kind of see the breadth of people that are in there this evening. Really nice to kind of see you all again. Sorry about the chat. Let me close that one down. Okay, well let's kind of move on then. What I'd like to do is kind of start off by kind of just framing, okay, what we're going to discuss this evening. So let me get my screen up. I've got so many screens on the go here. There we go. Great. Okay, so last month, the end of 2024, okay, so 2023, sorry, December 2023, we asked our community of conservation, aspiring professional conservationists of over 200,000 people across our profiles, particularly on LinkedIn, our followers, what are the biggest barriers that you perceive when looking to kind of work within conservation? Okay. And the challenges that came out from those surveys and from the results and comments, and if you shared into that, we appreciate that, are, as you can see in front of you here. Okay. So these are kind of the 5 biggest barriers that people are perceiving, okay, like yourself. So first up, it's about getting experience. How do you get the right experience? Then it's about becoming competitive for conservation jobs. So lots of people talking about how do you break through and get into interviews? How do you get job offers as well? Fourthly, we're talking about how to kind of find jobs as well. Okay, so finding conservation jobs and understanding the kind of conservation job market was a kind of recurring theme that came through from the kind of comments and the survey that we ran. And then finally, also like networking conservation, okay? And I really sort of, making contact, finding jobs, getting recommendations, talking to people, getting advice, okay, getting out there, okay, and breaking out from kind of, behind your desk and actually getting out into the community. That's a barrier that lots of people perceive. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to walk through each one of these 5 in turn, okay, describe it in a bit more detail, and then more importantly, to kind of discuss and share some ideas about how you can kind of break through that barrier, okay, whether you're a kind of student, a job seeker, or a career switcher, okay. So before we do that, let's just kind of click to here to slide, okay, and let's get going. Okay, so Christy, you're going to pick up number 1, okay, which is all about getting experience.
Yeah. Also, thanks to the person who sent info about enabling the chat. I think Nick, see if you can do that. You've got the controls.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent it to you in the chat. Okay, so the first barrier, and this was pretty much the biggest barrier that we heard about from our community, is getting experience. And I think this one's so big because it feels always like a catch-22 in the conservation sector. You can't get a job without experience, and you need a job to get the experience to get a job. So it feels like being caught in this loop that you can't break through. I think we also hear from a lot of people that it seems like you have to spend a ton of time, hundreds of hours, maybe even years, and tons of money to get experience to become employable. And it can also just be overwhelming. Where do you find the experience? There's so many options out there. A lot of them require you to pay. If you go and do a Google search, it can easily feel like you're down the rabbit hole, and you end up with analysis paralysis and don't know what to choose. So how do you break through this barrier of getting experience? It's actually about getting the right experience for you. And this really comes back to what Nick alluded to a bit, which is identifying your target job and then knowing what the requirements are for that job. So you know what gaps you need to fill in terms of experience and skills. And we've got a tool for that. It's called a gap analysis that works really well. So basically it enables you to build up the experience and skills that you need for the kind of role you want to do. So I guess if we summed it up, it's that quality is more important than quantity when it comes to experience. And because of that, you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of time or money to get experience that's going to help you. We've got some resources. I'm going to pop them in the chat that can help you kind of explore ways to get experience and how to find the right experience for you. So that's the first barrier, and I'll pop the links in the chat in a second.
Which is now enabled, by the way. Thank you very much, person who helped.
Awesome. So the second barrier that we heard about is kind of similar in some ways. It's becoming competitive for jobs. And again, part of this barrier is all about not having a focus on a target role. The conservation sector is a huge industry. There's an overwhelming number of jobs available. And we've kind of broken that down into 11 key conservation roles. So many different types of roles, ranging from communications and fundraising through to, things it takes to run a conservation business, website designers, ecotourism operators. It's not just the scientists in the field that most people think about. So we'll share a link to that resource also in a second. Another part of the barrier of becoming competitive for jobs is that most people tend to think you need a lot of education to compete, that you need a master's, maybe even you need a PhD to be competitive. And actually, this depends on what you're going for. So only 9 of the 11 key conservation roles that we've identified require a university degree all the time. Most of them actually will consider experience as a substitute for education. So the kind of training you need depends on the kind of job you want to do. So again, if you want to break through this barrier, become competitive, it's all about focusing in on what your target job is, identifying the right training, experience, skills, knowledge you need. And I think it's also about being more unique. At the beginning of my career, I know I followed a lot of things that sounded great because other people wanted them. And actually, they weren't a fit for me. So I would encourage everyone to be unique, find your own path, figure out what you enjoy doing, figure out what your niche is. And if you're a career switcher, know that you probably have some skills, some transferable skills that are really needed in conservation. You don't necessarily have to start at the beginning and retrain.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to that. Yeah. I mean, when we look at the kind of skills that are found across the sector and that are valued by employers, some things really stand out, and many of them are kind of transferable from other sectors. Communications being a big one, if you're working in communications or marketing, project management being huge across almost every job type, and so on. You'd be surprised just how many skills that a career switcher working outside the industry can actually bring into the industry with them. Okay. Just to reiterate, so chat is now enabled again. So thank you everyone for and Christy, I can see now you're sharing those resources in there. So if you want to click off and read a bit more about what we're talking about, we'll be dropping links into that as we go as well. Okay, so the third barrier we want to kind of discuss is about getting interviews or job offers. And what stops most people from getting interviews or job offers is really one of two things. Okay, first, it's thinking that if you put in enough applications, you'll get an interview. Okay, and really playing the numbers game doesn't guarantee success. And what we see actually when we look at applications that kind of cross our desks, if you like, about 90%, give or take, of applications are really of poor quality. Okay, because they've been rushed or they've not been carefully tailored or bespoke to fit the role in question. Okay, so if you're kind of firing out applications quicker than bullets out of Arnie's Uzi 9mm, then the chances are you're not spending much time on each application to ensure it's really well fitted to the job in hand. Okay, or you're not really very focused and you're applying for lots of different types of jobs and different roles, many of which maybe aren't well suited to you. You didn't have that focus, you didn't have that clarity a bit earlier in the stage. Either way, the problem is there's nearly always going to be someone putting in a better application than you who has a more focused background and is more employable for that role. Okay. The other problem we see really is, and it's understandable and very common, is people just reusing the same application again and again, whether that's the CV or the cover letter as well. Okay. And really the problem there is you're really asking employers to work too hard to find your evidence and skills against what they're looking for, okay? And it really makes it far more unlikely they'll bring to interview. Don't make them work hard. Spell it out to them how you fit their specific job. And that does mean often rewriting cover letters. It often means tweaking, editing, or even starting from scratch with CVs as well. They really need to kind of fit each other like a glove, okay, in order for you to kind of to be brought to interview. Okay, so how do you tackle this? Okay, how do you focus and break through this barrier? Really, it's obvious, really. Okay, so you need to focus on your target job. Okay, start with what the employer's looking for. Identify what you've got in your back catalog, your career, and wider interests, education too, that fits and aligns with each one of those roles. Okay, each one of their criteria. Okay, and then really clearly spell that out in the CV, in the resume, in the cover letter. Okay. Now, we haven't got time to jump into detail here, but we do have a free guide on the website, okay, which you can see in front of you, okay, and I'm sure Christy will share a link into there too in a second as well, which leads you through step by step how to do that, okay, in detail, and gives you examples of great, well-aligned cover letters and applications as well, okay, to jobs that got people, to successful interviews as well. So very simple process actually to get into that top 10% that gets to interview, okay. But most applications aren't reaching the grade because they're rushed, okay, and that's really the kind of message to kind of walk away with. Okay, the fourth one, okay, is about how to find jobs, okay, and the barriers, they're thinking that there aren't enough conservation jobs out there, which is just wrong, actually, okay. The conservation industry is a booming sector, okay, with more jobs available than ever before, okay, and it is growing. To date, we've listed over 55,000 jobs, okay, in conservation careers. We're listed around 15,000 jobs per year now and counting. And that really still is the tip of the iceberg, okay? And we do see that as sector increase as well, okay? Now, the reason why people think there aren't many jobs is because many websites, many kind of job boards actually only list jobs where employers are paying, okay? And many employers in the sector are small charities which have very small advertising budgets. So often opportunities don't get well spread, okay? Don't get kind of well found. So if you're just going to a few kind of typical job boards, you're not going to see the full breadth of what's out there within the sector. So how do you break through this? Okay, how do you kind of turn this around? Well, really, there's a few ways of doing this. One is focus your search on your target job. Okay, and this is a theme that we're going to kind of come back to, I think, quite a few times during this presentation, this idea of having a target job. We'll explain this in more detail. But if you'll focus your search on that target job, okay, it gives you a bit more laser vision to finding what you're looking for. From there, you can set up really intelligent job alerts, to automate things and bring those things to you. So, Google has good job alerts, LinkedIn has great job alerts nowadays. We have job alerts at Conservation Careers too. Okay, many of you know how to use these. Okay, get really good and skilled. Okay, use your keywords, use your location filters, and make sure you're not missing out on opportunities that are out there. Okay, don't just go to one or two job boards, think you've got everything. Set those alerts, bring them to you. Okay. Conservation Careers also, use us because we go out actively every day and we search for the best roles and as many roles as we can find within conservation, making us the biggest conservation job board that's out there. And we work really hard to find and share as many jobs and as roles as possible for you. So we are a good place to kind of come and search for jobs if you're looking, for jobs day to day. Finally, I think being proactive as well. There are jobs out there that aren't well advertised that we also don't find as well. Okay, so by networking, okay, and by making friends in conservation, okay, and understanding the organizations and the employers and the jobs that you're searching for and the people doing those jobs, you've got a much greater likelihood of finding out and hearing about them as well. Okay, so making friends and networking is really important. Okay, and that leads me, I guess, into number 5 perfectly. And that's over to you, Christy.
Thank you. Yeah, so networking. This is one of those words that a lot of people don't love. So I think if you're starting out in the sector, if you're switching careers into the sector, this can seem really daunting. It also can seem like conservation is sort of this closed off community where you're an outsider. And it feels like you just don't fit in and aren't going to be welcomed there. So I think imposter syndrome is really real here with networking. And it's kind of like public speaking, it's kind of the same as being like faced with a lion on the Serengeti. It's scary for a lot of people.
It absolutely is, yeah. And it's funny, like, for me, I mean, we have the podcast at Conservation Careers. I still get nervous before talking to a new person, and I still get nervous before these events too. But it's very easy to kind of break through those things. I think one thing to bear in mind is when you're thinking about networking is conservationists, we are a friendly bunch. Okay, we've all got something in common, which is we all care about nature and wildlife and want to help save it. And that is a real leveler, okay, straight away. So we're a friendly, passionate, we're open, sharing and supportive community. And that's real. Okay, we really are. Okay, I rarely find someone I can't work with really well or who isn't open and supportive of things that we're trying to do and to help one another. Okay, So I would encourage you to kind of not use this dirty word of networking. I don't think any of us particularly like that. I would always see it and reframe it as making friends. Okay, so if you're trying to connect with people, okay, trying to get some advice, trying to get a recommendation, or a referral, okay, then just go out there, find people doing interesting work that you're curious about, okay, learn about their work, and that can be really fun. And just go out and make friends, because more often than not, people are willing to help and to support you, okay? So yes, imposter syndrome is real. We can all feel that, okay? But just put that to one side, be positive, frame it as curiosity, make friends, okay? And you'll be surprised, how far that can get you within this sector.
I think often when people are thinking about networking, they're going into it. I certainly did this, feeling like they have to perform, or they have to be a certain person, or they have to have a certain knowledge, to even have a conversation with someone. And if you're just curious about it, just genuinely curious about conservation and conservationists, that's all you need.
Yeah.
That and a bit of passion.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
if you're asking questions about their role, sorry, Christy, I think people can be quite flattered as well that you're interested in them. It's not about you, it's about them and understanding them. Yeah.
So I guess those are the 5 biggest barriers to becoming a conservationist, to working in conservation in 2024. And we wanted to take a moment to pause before we sort of look at how to go about breaking through those barriers and what's next, just to think about what's possible for you this year if we took those barriers away. If you break through all of them and there's no barriers there, what would your career be like a year from now, at the end of 2024? What do you imagine? So just take a moment to write down for you whatever comes to mind. Don't worry if you don't know exactly. Just write down whatever comes to mind. Where do you imagine yourself at the end of this year? What could your career look like in conservation at the end of 2024? And while you're thinking about that and imagining that, we'll share a bit about how it goes for most people. So that gap between having a dream and then securing your dream job, for most people going into conservation, involves a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, overwhelm, even just feeling lost. And this is because most people don't have much clarity about where they're going or how to get there. They don't have a plan for how they're going to do it, how they're going to become employable and competitive. And they're lacking confidence. A lot of people just assume from the beginning that it's not possible. Or they feel like they're alone in it, with no one to sort of go to for support or guidance or just motivation. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how to avoid this.
Yeah, how to straighten that squiggle. Yeah. I just want to say, I'm really enjoying the chat as well. Christy, I'm listening, I promise, but also I was looking at the chat as well. And, you guys are already networking. I love the fact that you're sharing LinkedIn and kind of connecting with one another. And that's what it's all about. So, keep that sort of thing going. It's really useful. And really, I'm interested in kind of reading some of your profiles as well. So let's talk through a quick framework, okay? So you can assess where you are in terms of securing your dream conservation job, okay? And break things down and try and simplify them for you and make them a bit more stepwise and give you some actions to take away, okay? And areas that you can focus on. Okay, so when we look at kind of people who are looking to secure their first job, whether you're a starter or a switcher or a job seeker, the first obstacle we often see, okay, and you'll see these kind of come out in the barriers that we discussed at the beginning, those 5 barriers, is a lack of clarity as to which role to target. Okay, it's a bit like without that, it's like going on a journey without a destination. Okay, and you often might be going in the wrong direction and you don't know it. Okay, so having a destination in mind and a role and a target, which is something I'll talk about a little bit more in just a few minutes, okay, is so important. Okay, why is this lack of clarity? Why is this prevalent across the sector? It's because really the conservation job market, it's diverse, okay? It's growing and it's therefore bewildering, okay? It makes it really hard to figure out where you might fit in because there's so many roles and so many different types of roles and they're changing and evolving all the time, okay? Which means it's really easy to get lost and stuck and confused and perhaps even to give up before you've even started as well. So to solve this, you need to get a full understanding of yourself. We'll talk about this a bit more in a minute as well. Okay, really understand yourself, really understand your career needs. Okay, what are you good at? What do you need within your career? And understand the job market and put those two things together from the ground up to identify and explore where you might want to be and to get that clarity that you need that really forms the foundation of a successful job hunt. Now, the second part of securing your dream job in conservation and the second obstacle is really a lack of planning, okay, or a lack of a plan, sorry. So knowing exactly what steps to take in order to become employable for your chosen role, okay. The problems that are associated with that is without a plan, it's really easy to waste time and also money, doing things which might not be moving you forwards in your career, okay. Or you might be even getting the wrong education or the wrong experience perhaps for your chosen role. It's also really easy to be overwhelmed by all the possibilities. There are so many things we could be doing, okay, which might slow your progress down overall and help you to kind of put the brakes on rather than kind of firing forwards as in the direction you want to be going in. The solution to this is kind of straightforward, really. It's about making a plan, okay, a clear plan which outlines the experience and training needed for your target role, okay. One which identifies and addresses your employment gaps in a quite a strategic way. So understanding what are the gaps you need to fill, what you already have, what you need to get still, and how you're going to get those things, okay? And how do you make everything actionable, okay, and easy and ideally fun as well, okay, something that you can actually fairly easily kind of put into practice. Then the final obstacle, okay, is really about a lack of confidence. Okay, feeling like an outsider or an imposter. You've heard this a few times now, actually. Which can drain your confidence further. Okay, it can really slow your progress. Okay, and it can often mean that some people wait too long before stepping up and making the move into the sector. Okay, it can also mean without that confidence, you're not really selling yourself. Really as best as you could be in applications or in interviews face to face, and you're not securing the job offers that you deserve. Now, the solution really, in terms of confidence, is not going it alone. Okay, it's getting help and getting support and getting inspired and ensuring you have the knowledge and the confidence to sell yourself to employers. Now, what we'd like to do now is just kind of launch just a quick poll. If I can just get my buttons working. Here we go.
We'd love to know where you're at in your own career journey into conservation.
Absolutely. So you should be able to see a poll here in front of you. So which of the following obstacles do you feel is holding you back from landing a conservation job? Is it no clarity of which job to target? Is it no plan in place to become employable? Or is it perhaps no confidence to make it all happen? Okay, this is anonymous, okay, so you can say as you wish. We don't have all of the above category, but I'm sure a few of you might want that. I'll just give you a second. I can see quite a few of you already answered. Thank you very much for doing that. You can see the results coming in. It's quite fun. I've got like a kind of screen kind of giving me all the data coming through. Brilliant. And also thanks everyone for being so active in the chat there, sharing your LinkedIn. I love that. Do connect with one another. This is what it's all about. You can sort of see, how friendly and supportive we are as a community. Right. I think that is most of the results. I'm going to share those results up now. Okay. So hopefully you can see that. So actually, foundational, okay, so lack of clarity, nearly half, 48% of you, okay, so that you're saying that a lack of clarity as to which job to target is the main obstacle that you perceive in front of you. And that is really typical, okay, and that's something which you can absolutely unlock. And we're going to do an exercise in a minute to help you with exactly that, okay. The second one is no plan in place to become employable, okay, 27%. And then finally, 25%, okay, no confidence to make it all happen. Really interesting, really interesting. So, nearly half of you are lacking clarity, then the other two are split equally between plan and confidence. Great, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for kind of taking part in that poll. Right, let me just get back to where we were then.
I just wanted to say I love that Sienna popped in the chat, none of the above, which hopefully means you've nailed it. You've mastered the art of finding a conservation job.
Good on you, Sienna. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so in an ideal world, what would it look like for you right now? Okay, it would look something like this. So if you're looking to secure your dream conservation job, you would have clarity. Okay, you'd understand which job is right for you, which direction it is you want to take. You'd have a plan in place, a plan that really identified what employers are looking for you to have in terms of skills, education, experience, okay? What you already have in your locker and what gaps you need to fill and how you're going to fill them, okay? Without wasting time and without wasting money, in order that you will stand out from the crowd and become truly employable for that job. You'll also have confidence. Confidence to step forward, to put in great applications and deliver great interviews as well. Okay, and that really is the kind of the absolute framework, the system for how to move forward within this sector, and also within similar sectors like this as well, which can be quite competitive. Let's just take a moment then to talk about clarity, because it is so important having this target job. We've talked about this a few times. I said I was going to circle back to it. Well, I think now is the moment. Okay, so when you're thinking about moving to sector, having clarity about that target job, that niche, that pathway, whatever you want to call it, is so important, because it gives you that direction. It helps you then to understand what gaps you need to fill. Okay. Now think about kind of joining the conservation sector, okay, and securing your first job as a bit like entering a competitive environment, a competitive arena, a bit like maybe the Olympics that you can see in front of you. This is Team GP from a number of years ago now, okay. Now, if you saw your job as going to the Olympics and getting a gold medal, there's perhaps two very divergent strategies you could take, okay. One, you can say, I'm going to go for every event. Okay, there's 50 events or more at the Olympics, and that will give me 50 or more chances of securing that gold medal. Okay, which is a bit like going for lots of different job types, okay, and spreading yourself quite thin and being quite a generalist. Okay. The problem with that approach, and I think you can probably see it here on screen, is you're always going to be up against someone who's really doubled down and specialized. Okay, they've found the role for them. They've found the event for them. Okay, you're going to be up against Chris Hoy, in the cycling with his huge legs and his enormous lung capacity. Okay, you're going to be up against, Jessica Ennis, the great heptathlete, and so on. There's always going to be someone who's doubled down, specialized, become really good at one specific thing. Okay, so being a specialist and refining and finding your niche helps you to become truly competitive for a certain area and gives you a really good chance of securing that job. Another way of looking at it, I'm looking at it from 2 or 3 different angles, so hopefully it'll help you in different ways. One of it is thinking about an analogy in gardening, which is right plant, right place. Okay. So right plant, right place means that, every different plant thrives within different conditions. Okay. Some like it hot, some like it cold, some like it dry, some like it wet, some like it dark, some like it sunny, some like it acidic or alkali, and so on. Okay. Every plant's different. It thrives within different conditions. And you and your career is exactly the same. Okay, we're all different. Okay, we all want different things. We're all good at different things. We all love different things. Okay, we all thrive within different contexts and different environments. So finding a place within the employment landscape or the employment garden, stretching the analogy, where you might thrive. Okay, your chosen role, your sweet spot. Okay, if you can identify that, your ikigai. Okay, that sweet spot of happiness, where your passions and purpose, okay, and skills overlap, okay, is your sweet spot, okay, which you can become really good at, okay, and really that makes you super employable and super impactful and super happy, which is what I think what most of us are looking for within our careers. The final way of looking at this in terms of focus is really this kind of Scandi, kind of Forester lumberjack type guy, which is really about if you are going into the forest and sustainably you're looking to cut down some trees, okay, how could you do that? Well, you don't go around with an axe just tapping one tree and tapping another tree and tapping another tree. Okay, you find the right tree and you keep hitting it. Okay, you have a sharp axe, so you can put a blade in place and you hit it until that tree falls. Okay, it's the same in the job. Find your tree, find your focus, your target. Okay, and then really focus on it, and it will come through. Okay, it will fall. Okay, don't spread yourself too thin. Don't become a generalist. Don't go for too many different jobs. Okay, find the niche, find the focus, and focus in on that. It gives you a far greater chance of success. Big question though, Christy, is how do you find your target job? How do you name your target job? Where should people start?
Right. Just eeny, miny, mo, pick one.
Job done.
So yeah, so by now you know that identifying your target job, your dream job, is really, really important. How do we do that? We break it down into 2 parts. So one is the cause and one is the role, and together those define a job. So causes are the issue or perhaps issues that you're seeking to tackle. It might be something like marine conservation or illegal wildlife trade. And the role is how you're going to tackle it. Maybe that's through research, maybe it's through communications or something else. And causes tend to be linked with knowledge about a subject, whereas roles tend to be more linked to the skills that you use to do the work. And for some people, one is really important and not the other. For some people, it's both. That varies person to person. So let's look in a little bit more detail at causes. And often we think about the what part of what we do in our work. So this is what you do, who you work for, what skills you're using, what you do day to day. But actually, often it's the why that drives us. And causes are all about the why. So this is kind of the underlying issues that you're seeking to tackle. If you feel unbalanced in your career, if you feel unhappy, often we hear this from career switchers. It can be because what you're doing is misaligned with your purpose or your why. So you might be, working for a marketing company and be really good at it, but the thing that you're marketing isn't something you're passionate about. You might be, working in, if you worked in marketing and you were tackling plastic pollution or illegal wildlife trade, that might make a huge difference. So the why is important for a lot of us. And let's just go through a few examples of causes. There are hundreds out there, but it could be something like animal welfare. That can include vets. It can include zoo and aquarium jobs, rescue and rehab, and much more. Another cause is climate change, community conservation, ecotourism. How do we do tourism in a more ecologically sustainable way in support of conservation? A big one, we work with a lot of people who are interested in marine conservation. That's another example of a cause or a theme of work. It could be restoration and rewilding, could be sustainability, like sustainable agriculture, sustainability, education, etc. So there's tons of causes out there. Those are just a few examples.
Just to make the point, it could be earthworm declines. Your niche, the cause you're most interested in, might be super niche. That's fine.
Yeah, it could be a specific species or group. So just to get you, if you don't know your cause already, or you're not sure, to get you thinking about what your cause might be, I'm just going to ask some questions and just see what comes up for you. Write it down in your notes. And if you want, you can post them in the chat. So first question is, what campaigns or petitions have you supported? What conservation charities do you love? What conservation charities or NGOs, nonprofits do you love? What causes have you supported as a volunteer? Sometimes just knowing what you'll do for free can give you a clue to your causes, your why. What causes have you made a donation to? And I love this one. What issues make your blood boil? Like what gets you really fired up and angry and upset? And Nick and I were chatting before this, saying also like sometimes just looking at what you're reading, like the books on your shelf or on your Kindle or wherever you've got your books, can be another clue as to what your why is. So just take a moment, write down your ideas, whatever came up for you, and we'll come back to that in a moment.
That's great. What makes my blood boil? I think like migratory bird declines, these amazing birds that fly from us down to Africa and back every year, and they're getting more and more depleted. That really kind of makes my blood boil. Yeah, be interesting to hear what yours is, but we'll get to that in a minute. Just for now, just think about, those causes. And as you do so, I want you to kind of also to listen to the different roles as well that we see within the sector. So if the causes provide the why, okay, the roles, the other side of the job, okay, provides the what. What skills will you be using, or what role will you be playing to help the causes you care most about? Okay, now in conservation careers, I mentioned it a few times now, but we've listed over 55,000 jobs, okay, conservation jobs, and they cover over 15,000 different job titles. Okay, so it really is bewildering. It is diverse. And with so many different roles available within conservation, what we've done is simplify them down into 11 key roles. It used to be 15. We've really simplified them down again to 11. This is as simple as we could make it, really. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through really quickly, okay, the 11 roles. Bang, 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 okay? And what I want you to do is listen to the 11 roles, okay, and again with your pen and paper. Okay, I want you to record the ones that excite you or interest you the most. That's it. Dead simple. Okay, so just listen to me. I'll kind of walk through these 11 quickly. Okay, this is just to give you a bit of an idea of what there is. Okay, and just record the ones that interest or excite you the most. Okay. So the first one, okay, is conservation communicator. Sir David Attenborough, okay, raising the profile of conservation. It's a growing area. There are social media managers, there are marketing managers, okay, there are blog and podcast producers, and so much more. If you're creative and you like communications, this could be an area that's interesting to you, okay, website management as well. Second one, ecologist. Okay, so ensuring ecologically sensitive development. Okay, there is a whole industry, a booming, growing industry for consultant ecologists. Okay, working with clients who are looking to develop an area and helping them to avoid and mitigate for impacts on particular different species or habitats that may be protected by law. Okay, growing area of work, and it's something that gets you out in the field, gets you using species ID, gets your kind of your boots dirty on the ground. Third up, economist, okay, putting a value on nature. Again, another growing area, okay? So an area of valuing nature, okay? So using financial and economic skills to quantify, okay, and to be able to work with politicians and government, okay, to help assess where are we and where might we be going and how do we value and how do we build those values into our value chains, if you like, or into our different products and services. Interesting area for economists to be working in. Fourth, educator, okay, increasing awareness and support for nature. So that might be educating school groups, children's, volunteers, adult groups, okay, and really informing people about the different jobs and different work that needs to be done in order to conserve biodiversity around the planet. Next up, fundraiser, number 5, nearly halfway through. Okay, so raising the money for nature. You know, not a lot happens in this world without some finance behind it, and it's often the fundraisers, okay, often for charities that are developing the programs, the projects, the proposals, working with donors, developing membership schemes, campaigns, which overlaps with communications, and so on. Perhaps fundraising is an area that would be of interest to you. Next up, land managers. Okay, protecting key sites for natures, managing a site or a series or a network of sites or an area of land. Okay, whether that's a warden or a ranger or a reserve manager or something like that. Okay, perhaps this is an area that's interesting to you. It's about getting your hands dirty. It's about getting out there in all weather. Okay, it's about being physical. Okay, and managing the land. I'm loving seeing the kind of the little symbols popping up that you love these. Thank you. Next up, organizational manager. Okay, running organizations that conserve nature. Okay, behind every organization, there are the managers, the people that help it to run. Okay, that might be the CEO, it might be the director of finance, it might even be the receptionist or the admin team. Okay, we see conservation holistically as if your role is helping to conserve wildlife at some level or supporting others to do so, then you're a conservationist. Okay, and running an effective organization is so important. Okay, and again, very transferable. Okay, so something that you could be moving your role into and connecting more with the cause, okay, and the why. Into the home straight, okay, policy advocate, saving wildlife through the law, okay, so creating, advocating, and enforcing better laws to help protect wildlife, and that could be at the very local or national or even international level, okay. Big area of work, big area of impact, perhaps that's something that really kind of floats your boat. Next up, project manager. Okay, saving the world one project at a time. Okay, the kind of pixel size of activity within conservation are projects. Okay, projects with a specific time, a budget, and a goal. Okay, and a series of tasks that will be delivered according to a schedule. Okay, and they can be packaged and built together into a program of work. Really transferable, really valued skill set. Okay, project management, and there are roles just to be project managers. Okay, and manage those projects well. Perhaps that's something that interests you. Penultimate one, scientist. Okay, scientist or researcher, I guess, you know, answering the key questions to tackle biodiversity loss, okay, using the kind of scientific method, okay, forming hypotheses, testing hypotheses, you know, collecting data, analyzing data, writing, producing and publishing your results, okay. Is that an area that interests you? You know, are you a scientist or a budding scientist in the making? That could be an area that you want to specialize in. And then finally, wildlife carer. Okay, so caring for wildlife, whether that's a vet or a vet nurse, or whether that's working in a zoo or a sanctuary or something like that. Okay, again, there are roles where you're kind of up close, personal, and helping to care for the welfare and the health of animals. And perhaps that's an area that interests you. So that's 11 roles, okay? 11 roles. It doesn't cover absolutely everything, but it covers most of them, and they can be combined and used in different ways. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But how can we use them, and how can we combine them, Christian? How are these two things quite useful?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully, if you're listening, you're getting a sense of that already. There's a lot going on in the sector. It's much more than just the field-based and the science-based roles that are super important, but that most people think of. So what's neat is you can start to combine a cause and a role or potential roles to create different pathways in the sector, to create different niches, to create different sort of target jobs, however you want to call it or think about it, and start coming up with some ideas and even some names of potential conservation jobs and niches for you. So here are just a few examples. Of course, Nick being a barn owl scientist, we've used that example. So someone who's answering questions to support barn owl conservation efforts. Could be another species, depending on your particular cause. Another example is climate change policy advocate. So someone who's advocating for action to address climate change. You could be a rewilding project manager. So the cause here is rewilding, and the role is project manager. So you're helping to develop or implement rewilding projects. You can probably see that there's many different ways to combine the cause and the role to come up with your niche. The possibilities are literally almost endless. And if you don't know exactly what it is for you right now, that's okay too. Hopefully this is just getting you thinking about what's possible, getting you narrowing down a little bit to just sort of see what might be a fit for you.
Yeah. And so what we want to do, like you've been scribbling down some causes, scribbling down some roles that interest you. Take a cause that interests you the most. Okay. Take a role that interests you the most as well out of those 11. Put them together, combine them to make your unique job title, something that excites you and interests you. Okay. And post it into the chat. Okay. We'd love to see them. Okay. And while you're doing that, while you're thinking about it, don't overanalyze it. Okay. It's just a bit of fun. It's to give you some ideas, some clarity, some direction, something to kind of start working with and to see how these things work. Okay. But drop it into the chat, see what you're doing. And as you do that, we're going to just cover some kind of, I guess, important notes when you're thinking about this. Okay. So first up, it's okay to just specialize in just a cause or just a role. You don't have to combine these things, okay? So you might just work on barn owls. You don't care if you're a fundraiser, a communicator, a scientist, an organizational manager, but as long as you're working on barn owls, that is the main thing. That will make you happy, okay? Or it might just be communications. You don't mind if it's barn owls or earthworms or climate change. As long as you're doing communications, you're happy with that, okay? So you can do one or the other. It doesn't have to be a combination, okay? Second thing is nothing is ever set in stone. You can always change your pathway. You can always change your niche as you go, okay? And as you develop, and as you grow, and as you learn stuff about yourselves. The idea is to give you direction, okay? So you know which direction you're going in, okay? And which way you're working towards. You can start to kind of plug and fill those gaps and take those steps in that direction to become fully employable to reach that destination. But your journey might divert, it might change. The next one up, is a target role provides direction, but it's okay to stray off that path, okay, and to be open to other opportunities that might come along, okay, in your job hunting, in your career. Don't be too blinkered, I think is the message here, and use it to keep moving forwards, okay. Again, it's about giving you direction. And the final thing to bear in mind is, roles can often intersect and can be combined as well, okay. For example, a scientist can also be involved in communications, they can be involved in fundraising. Conversely, a communicator might work quite closely with scientists to promote their work to wider audiences as well. So it's not just like very discrete silos. I'm a scientist, I don't do communications. I'm a communicator, I don't do any fundraising. They often merge and interact in lots of different ways. And when working for, say, small organizations, you can often be a jack of all trades and work in many of these different types of roles, okay, in one area. So just use it as a kind of useful directional tool, but bear in mind they can be used in lots of different ways to kind of find that purpose, to give you that direction. Now, how's the chat going? Have we got any ideas in there? We do. I can see some. Yeah. Anything jump to your attention, Christy?
Oh my goodness, there's been so many. I've lost some of them already. You might like this one. Bird habitat conservation project manager communicator.
Go for it. Yes. Vultures
Earth
conservation in a One Health approach. Yes, Maria, thank you.
Yeah. Like urban conservation communications, like how can we do conservation in urban environments, and how can we communicate that to people? Really neat.
Amphibian conservation project scientist, Raj Kumar. I love it. Yeah. Conservation project manager. Again, quite broad, but why not? You might want to think about what type of conservation project you want to work on, what cause, but again, you might not care. As long as it is a conservation project, you're happy. Yeah. Deforestation data engineer. I love that, Luca. And I think we've got Anton on the call here as well, who would probably describe himself as a data engineer, I would think. Yeah,
Yeah.
would be a botanical data engineer would probably be the description he'd give himself, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, there you go, Anthony. Very good. You're in there. Good to see you. Right. Okay. Brilliant.
Ocean.
Okay. Well, keep thinking. Okay. Hopefully that'll start to kind of seed some ideas and get you interested and get you excited about where you might go and what your job title might be. Okay. Right. Well, as we do that, I'm just gonna again swap around a few screens.
Too,
Lots of
while you're
buttons.
switching, Nick, that we hear from a lot of people who are worried about specializing, who feel like they have a lot of different interests, have a lot of different things that they like to do. So don't feel that you need to be like totally siloed into something. If you have many different interests, it might be that you're either there's a common cause, like Nick sort of mentioned before, or there's a common set of skills or something you're doing. Like there might be just some threads that run through all of those things. Not everyone has to like focus in and be an earthworm scientist. It's a little bit different for all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point, Krista. Yeah. Okay, well, let's circle back. So keep playing with those ideas. Do work on them, after this event too. Keep those ideas kind of forming. But let's come back to the kind of three key areas to tackle, when seeking to start a career in conservation or to switch your career into conservation, which is all about clarity. Okay, it's all about planning and it's all about confidence. Now, what we've started to work on today is improving clarity of what your dream job might look like. And hopefully you can start to feel a bit of a difference here as a result of those kind of causes and roles and combining different job titles and starting to see where your niche might be. Now, knowing yourself well, okay, and having a target job, as you could probably understand by now, is really a foundational step to moving forwards. From there, delivering a plan to ensure you identify and secure the right experience and the training is then key before understanding how to create great applications and to deliver great interviews that gets you hired. Okay. Now, these are the key steps to take, okay, to become a conservationist this year and beyond. And you can see them here on screen. So really the first one is to know yourself, self-reflect, understand yourself, what you're good at, what you love doing, within which context you thrive. You can look at yourself in lots of different ways, okay, to really get to know yourself well. From there, identifying your target job, so understanding those causes and roles, understanding the niches within which you might want to target, okay, is so important. And from there, you can plan about how you're going to get there. Okay, you can start to put a plan into action, identifying and addressing and filling those gaps to become employable for your target job, finding your Olympic event, okay, finding that place in the garden you're going to thrive, okay, finding that tree you're going to keep tapping at with that axe, okay. Then it's about, standing out in job applications, creating great applications that stand out and get you to interview. And when you get to interview, it's about confidently putting yourself forwards and telling your story and how you're going to help the employer, okay, to deliver success within the role. So if there's one thing you take away from today, okay, as we start to wrap up, that these are the steps to follow to become a conservationist, okay, or to switch your career or to become a starter, okay, in conservation, helping you to avoid wasting time and wasting money. And the big question really is, how can you do this yourself, okay? And I think really you've got two options, okay? The first one is you can totally do this on your own, okay? We've started to share some of the process here and we have tons of resources, on our site, which you can take and use, totally for free and just run with it, okay? And we've been sharing many of these resources in the chat here today. So Christy's been kind of dropping those links in, okay? Now you can do that, and that's great. Okay, and we encourage you to do so. If you want to move forwards, please do that. Okay, but we do recognize also it can be quite easy if you do this alone to get lost and also to get overwhelmed. Okay, so the second option, the alternative, is you can join our Conservation Career Kickstarter program. Okay, which I'll tell you a bit more about in the next slide or two, which really breaks it down. Now, the Conservation Career Kickstarter program, it's a flexible, stepwise program, which is alongside an amazing support community called CC Pro, and you have access to the world's biggest conservation job board. It helps to give you that plan. It helps to give you that clarity, and it's also there to deliver that confidence, okay, and to inspire you and support you to keep going. So let's talk briefly about what it is, okay? So it's currently open right now until Friday, and we have 33% off, okay, until Friday. Now, the Kickstarter program, it's our flagship program. Okay, we've been running the program now for about 6 years, perhaps even a little bit more than 6 years. Started off as UK workshops, okay, and then we've developed this into 2.0 into our kind of online course. And we've had over 2,500 people now go through our Kickstarter program over the last 6 years. It's there to give you that clarity, that plan, and that confidence, okay? And Christy, I think you might be able to kind of share a link in if people are going to find out a little bit more. In the program are 3 things. Yeah, thank you. First thing is training, okay, and I'm going to show you a little bit behind the scenes in a second before we wrap up, okay, so what this looks like. So the training, it's a step-by-step, self-paced online learning program, okay. You get full year's access to it, okay. There are 3 modules, and within those 3 modules, there are 17 different units, different tasks, okay, to kind of work through. First module is all about getting self-reflection, understanding yourself. Second module is about finding clarity, getting that target job, okay, and being clear about what it is, understanding the gaps you need to fill. And the third module is all about delivering great interviews, okay, preparing for also delivering great applications that get you through to interviews as well. We do include our course around applications, and also we do cover interviews in great detail as well within that program. And I'll show you what it looks like in a second. The second aspect of the Kickstarter is our support community. It's an amazing community, and a number of people I can see here on the chat are already in that community, which is great. We love you all. I think we have something like 1,600 people within our CC Pro community now. It's a totally private community, okay, just for conservation careers. It's not on Facebook. It's within our own platform, okay. We have regular events like this within there. We have regular training events. We have community catch-ups. We provide and create networking events for you as well to come in and talk to professional conservationists, ask questions of them. We also do Q&As as well, answering questions as we go through that. If you miss any event, we keep the resources and the recordings in there, and I'll show you what it looks like in a second. And the final thing, the third thing is jobs. Okay, so we have the world's biggest conservation job board, and through the Kickstarter, you gain access to the full, okay, library of content that we develop for you. So over 15,000 jobs from across the globe each year, okay, you have access to as one of our Kickstars. Okay, again, a full year's access as with everything. 5,000 different organizations we have listing through us, and also 1,500 training courses within there, alongside, you know, volunteer and internships and events and email alerts you can set up for our jobs and more, okay? You get access to a full sweet shop of everything we can offer you in terms of opportunities. What I'd like to do is just give you a little view. Yeah, Christy, are you still looking at my screen there? You can see CC Pro?
Yes, I can.
Great.
So I'm just answering things in the Q&A as we go.
That's okay. No, thank you.
I'm zoned out.
Multitasking, yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, so this is what the Kickstarter looks like. Okay, so we're in the CC Pro here. I just want to show you what the Kickstarter looks like for when you're logged in. Okay, so within here you can gain access to our modules and our lessons. Okay, so it's broken down into a bit of an introduction. You've got module 1, who are you? And then within that there are 6 or 7 different tasks which we walk you through. Little tasks. Okay, it's a short video where we kind of lead you through, okay, a different task or a thought experiment, okay, and then leave you with a task and a workbook to kind of work through that. And it builds up step by step. So module 1 is all self-reflection. Module 2 is about where you're going to go, okay, so we talk about the different employer types, the different job types, okay, and we go through in quite a lot of detail. You can see here all the different job types: so animal welfare, communications and marketing, community-based conservation, talking through what are the duties of that role, okay, what would you be doing day to day, what are the criteria they're employing against, okay, and whether it's outside or inside, what are the different pay levels, all that sort of information. We then help you to kind of really break stuff down into a target job, okay, and also think about stepping stones for career switches as well, jobs that can kind of get you in the direction of where you want to go before bringing it together, identifying gaps, and look into how to apply and how to get interviews as well, okay? And we leave you with kind of commitments. The outcome of working through that program really is around clarity and planning, okay? So at the end of it, you'll have a clear plan, a career plan that identifies who you are, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there, okay, bit by bit. You can work through it entirely at your own pace, okay, and you have a whole year's access to that training with support from us. Alongside that, I just want to show you while we're in here, CC Pro, okay, because there's a Kickstarter going through the Kickstarter, you also gain access to our full CC Pro community. And this is where we are at the moment, you can see here. So this is just our homepage of, latest posts and streams from our many members and what's going on, okay. Within here, you can kind of view the members database, okay. You can kind of search and connect with different people from around the world. You can find similar people to yourself, okay, and DM them or create small DM groups as well to work on things together. You can see the events that we're kind of organizing for you and that are upcoming. We obviously are live now with our webinar. We have a community catch up in 2 days' time, as we do each month. Okay, people can come in, we can share what's going on within our careers and help us support one another. We do these pro chats, okay, where I interview a professional conservationist, you come in and listen, and then you get opportunities to ask questions yourself as well of them. Okay, we talk to lots of different people from loads of different backgrounds, a really kind of safe, easy way to network. Okay, and lots going on. We're going to be organizing one-to-ones and more. Well, so we keep like a diary of 2 or 3 months ahead of what's going on and kind of keep that busy for us. We have a general area and a community area. I won't go through each one of these in detail, but I'll just rattle through them quickly. Okay, so we have our community announcements, okay, where we do Wellness Wednesdays, okay, where we're sort of staying on track, staying positive, finding very small things, okay, that can really help us, okay, and to help our well-being and our mindfulness going forward. So it's really kind of nice things to be kind of doing each week that we prompt you to do. We have our win of the week every Friday, where we encourage people to kind of share their highs and also their lows from the week, and we support and encourage and help one another kind of through our careers, okay, in our struggles and celebrate our successes. I've talked about the event calendar already. If you miss anything, you can always come in here and kind of watch again, okay, the events that we share, the recordings that we build up. We also have a really kind of detailed resource area of different guides and resources that we've developed, from our how to apply kind of conservation job downloads to lots of different guides that we developed for lots of different things, for switching careers, volunteering internships, and so on. In our community area, we also kind of get to know each other, introduce ourselves, connect, and then we can have just general conversations around different things and different themes that are important to people. So long story short, there's lots going on. And within here, you also get access to all the kind of Kickstarter training. The training itself, the task work, the common room as well, where you can talk to just people within the Kickstarter program, okay? And also get access to the workbook. So the training is in here, but also the community aspects are in here. And then on the main website, you can then get access to the full job board as well. I think you probably know what that looks like. You know what a job board is. So I'm not going to kind of walk you through that, but I just wanted to show you what things look like from behind the scenes. Okay, I think the really final thing really then before we go to Q&A is just to kind of highlight the Kickstarter. You probably think, okay, so how much does it cost? Okay, so let's just talk about that. So enrollment right now is open until Friday, okay, with a 33% discount. So at the moment in dollars, it's $265, so just £195 or 230 euros. So you can choose which currency, suits you best, okay. It does come with a 14-day money-back guarantee. Okay, so if you want to enroll and try it, you've got 2 weeks to try it, and if for whatever reason it's not right for you, you can email us and we'll give you a money back. Okay, no questions asked, okay? As soon as you enroll, you get access to the training, you get access to CC Pro's support community, and also the jobs straight away. Okay, so you're straight in the door if you like. And just a reminder, the offer does end this Friday, midnight UK. Okay, so if you're serious about becoming a conservationist this year, now is a great time to kind of follow your dreams. Why not give yourself access to the best resources you can get your hands on? Why not arm yourself, with the support, training, and guidance from us, conservation careers and the industry experts? And why not give yourself every opportunity to become a professional conservationist in 24? We'd love to see that for you. We'd love to kind of share your successes into the future as well, and to be with you through your career journey this year and beyond. Okay, that's enough. That's enough from us. We've done a lot of talking. I've really enjoyed this. We've got some time for Q&A now. Okay, thank you for the for the heart. We love that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen as well, so we can kind of come back. And I can stop playing around with screens as well. There's a lot going on at my end, so it's a kind of relief just to come to this view. Right, well, that was great fun. So if you have any questions, we're here to answer them. We're very happy to kind of hang around and answer some questions for you. So if you want to kind of jump to the Q&A box, Chris, you said there's already been some questions in there. Couple of things to bear in mind as you do this. One, can you keep your questions quite short, please? Okay, long questions are really kind of stodgy for us to kind of talk through and work through in a live environment. So if you can keep it like to a sentence, that'd be amazing. And also you can vote. Okay, so you can vote a question up. Okay, and it'll help us to identify actually which are the most, which are most popular questions that we should be focusing our attention on as well. Okay. Whew, I'm going to take a drink as well.
I think we might, I'm not sure if the upvoting is enabled, but that's okay. Just keep your questions super short, and that helps us sort of navigate through.
Yeah.
And thanks everyone for the emoji support.
Yeah,
Nice
yeah.
seeing that.
I can see
Okay.
voting is enabled, which is great.
Okay.
So I can see the first question, Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. How successful are students of the program in securing employment? I think that's a really great question. Okay. So we don't have stats on exactly the number of people that kind of come out. What is really interesting, it's a kind of nice problem to have, is that when people do find employment, they often just sort of leave our community, and go off into their careers. And we do see them circling back. We've had 2 or 3 people now over the last 5-6 years, get the job, go off, do the job, and then come back to us for the next stage and then do it again. So they kind of re-emerge when they're kind of going through transitions. But once they're in their career, once they've kind of graduated from the program, if you like, and found employment, then they kind of drift off into kind of happy lives. But we do hear a lot from our alumni and people that are out in their careers. I guess what I could say, I mean, you can go to the website, you can get a read testimonials from people that have been through. We do have a 99% happiness and satisfaction and recommendation rating. So people do love the training. We work really hard to kind of keep it up to date and keep it on point and keep it as streamlined as we possibly can. My happy place is our testimonials document, which is kind of a private document that just Christy and I have. But I think it's running to close to 100 pages now of people that have been through our Kickstarter program, have gained clarity, pulled their plan together, and secured jobs off the back of it. So it's a really kind of career propelling course. Does it guarantee employment? Does it guarantee success? Absolutely does not. I don't think any program can do that. And I think it's really important to say that. What we're looking to do is to speed up, simplify, and streamline your development, give you a plan to move forward with confidence, okay, and to support you in doing that, okay. You still need to put in the hard work from your side as well, okay. That's important to bear in mind too. There is work to be done here in terms of exploring and in terms of identifying and then filling those gaps, but we are here to help support and motivate you in doing those steps and giving you only the steps you need to do. Okay, and nothing more, nothing less. So I hope that kind of starts to answer. I don't know if you want to elaborate, Christy, or whether you want to pick another question to move on.
Yeah, just really quickly, I think it's kind of that two-way street thing. We can give a lot of things, a lot of resources and support through the program, and your success depends on what you bring. So how much you engage, if you go fully through the program, if you take advantage of what's there. So it's really a two-way street. You get in, you get out what you put in also. That has a lot to do with how successful people are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just say, like, if you're committed and if you give it your all, then you're going to come out with a good result at the end.
Yeah.
And if not, then you might not.
And it is interesting, we do run the program once, sometimes twice a year, when we welcome a cohort like you guys, into the program. And having done this for a number of years now, you can see very quickly the people that are really committed and they're going to go somewhere, from the very early weeks, and the people that really kind of dive down and go for it. And we see them turning up to events, asking questions, engaging, be that person. The more you put in, the more we can support and the more encouragement we will give. We will get you over the line, but we've got to kind of work on this together. And it's so important. Thank you for the question. Possibly the same person, anonymous attendee. How do you network in person? Where do conservation people hang out?
I love this. I don't think we've ever gotten this question before. Like, some questions we sort of hear regularly, but this is new. I like it.
Yeah. Do you want to have a crack at that one, Christy?
My first response was, I meet a lot of people who either work in or want to work in conservation in airports, strangely. Like, I have a lot of conversations when I happen to fly with people on planes about conservation. That happened to me just recently. But other than going to airports, and we might not want to emit carbon every time we want to meet conservationists. Geez, I would say, like, what do you love doing? Do you love, getting out and volunteering in nature, being involved with a project, or going to an exhibition, or a zoo, or an aquarium, or, there's probably a million things that interest you specifically in the area where you're based. So I'd maybe start with that, like see where your interests lie and what you get involved in, as a way to also meet people, other people who share those interests.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, a few things for me. I think one is there are lots of local groups anywhere really, in the world have local, often conservation volunteer groups. So you could kind of find a local group and get involved with that. Conferences, meetings, symposia, those sorts of things. There's lots of those going on. A great place to kind of find, other like-minded people to find your tribe. So look at societies, look at kind of big events that are organized. You go to those if you're just looking for face-to-face interaction with people. Um, I think there are places where lots of conservationists work as well. So if you're in the UK, then Cambridge is a real hub. There is the Cambridge Conservation Initiative. There's the David Attenborough Building in Cambridge, where several hundred conservationists, travel into and out of every day and work from. There are other hubs in the world too, like Washington, DC is another hub, and there are others as well. Um, but also, I think virtually, it would be remiss not to kind of mention, virtual environments where conservationists hang out. We have CC Pro, our community. There are other communities online too. There's Wild Hub, it's worth looking into as well. LinkedIn, as many of you have already kind of shared, is a great place. And from that could trigger a real kind of live face-to-face interaction too. So yeah, you sort of get creative, I guess. But, just to reiterate the point that we've already said, we are a friendly bunch, conservationists. We genuinely, so don't be shy, don't feel like an outsider or an imposter. You're not, just find people who interest you, get in touch and try and have a conversation with them, whether that's Zoom or a coffee or a cup of tea or whatever that might be. You'd be surprised how many people are very open to that sort of conversation and are happy to kind of help people, along in their careers too. Yeah.
Okay. So
Thank you.
I'm seeing next question. Do you think age is important, especially after 35? Is it difficult to find a new career or conservation job? I would answer this with a question back, which is, do you think age is a barrier? Because if you do, chances are it's going to be more of a barrier for you. Like you could, if I use the example of women, we did a couple webinars about women in conservation. If you really stop and think about it, you can find a problem with any age. Either you're too young and people don't take you seriously, especially depending what country you're in and sort of the culture of that country. If you're in the middle somewhere, chances are you're going to have a baby, and employers may or may not like that. Or you're too old and you're not going to be considered for jobs where you're competing with younger people. So I think you can always come up with reasons why age might be a problem at any age. But in our experience, it's not really a barrier. It's more about our own perception. So I would challenge anyone who's sort of thinking about this as a stop to just have a look at your own assumptions. You might find that they are just your assumptions and they're not actually based in any facts from the conservation sector, from employers. I don't know if you want to add to that, Nick.
No, I think you've answered it beautifully. I would also just challenge whether 35 is old. I think the suggestion is, after 35, you may be on the shelf, and I think a lot of people would disagree at that. You've got a
I hope
long way
that's
to
not
go.
the case.
If you're around that age, you've got plenty of time. So no, I don't personally see age as a barrier, and it certainly shouldn't be, it legally shouldn't be for employers to kind of discriminate based on age either. So just move it to one side, find the job that's right for you and double down on it and become really good at it. And then it'd be quite hard not to employ you, I'd say.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be a huge advantage because with that
Yeah.
comes maturity, and there's some roles that really need that maturity to be effective. So it can be an advantage also.
Well, and the experience, if you're in your 50s or 60s or more, you've got so much career behind you and experience that you can fold into this new role. Yeah, I would just I'd shift your mindset. I agree totally, Christy, with you on that one. Yeah. Uh, Malia, long question. I have a question as an Italian marine biologist and aspiring conservationist trying to work abroad. I noticed that most job posts advertise positions that are available to people eligible to work in the country. The problem is that many of these positions are short term, and I guess getting a visa takes some time. Moreover, some job posts require that one is eligible when sending the application. Is there a way to solve the time issue? And is it worth it for short-term positions? Is the first thing that stops her from applying. Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because we get asked the question quite often, like how to sort of navigate positions that require you to have a visa. But this one is specifically about sort of the time for short-term positions.
Short-term positions, yeah.
Oof,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Um, do you have any thoughts, Nick? I need to process that one still.
Yeah, I need to process a bit more too. But often early in their career, people do take, short-term contracts, and short-term contracts can, not always, there's no guarantees, but can lead to longer-term contracts. But more often than not, they can definitely make you more employable. So some of it comes down to whether you want and whether you're in the right stage of life to be moving around regularly and taking 6 or 12 months, say, contracts and moving on to the next thing, or whether there are other things that are stopping you from doing that, whether that's, personal, family, whatever that might be. So it suits some people and maybe not others. Some people in their careers want short-term contracts. They want to do something for a short amount of time and move to the next thing and move to the next thing. Um, if that's not you, then yeah, I think very carefully about which jobs you go for, and whether they are taking you in that direction. That idea of kind of stepping stones we kind of shared just briefly when I was kind of showing you the screenshots about knowing where you want to be and whether this short-term contract, which might not be ideal, is going to get you there more quickly or not, and sort of viewing maybe the bigger picture. But to me, it feels quite sort of personal, really, as to whether that's something you want to do or not. Yeah, I mean, I guess another reflection is they shouldn't be forever. They are short term often is at the beginning of your career, and then obviously as you kind of progress through, things become a bit more, yeah, a bit more predictable, a bit more longer term. But again, everyone's career is slightly different, everyone's path.
Yeah, I I tend to agree with that. Like there's a personal question of how is the balance for you? Is it worth putting in the time and the effort to get the visa for the short-term role? Does it align enough for you? Also, there's a lot of short-term roles that tend to bring people on who are coming in internationally. So for example, some of the roles that I did at the beginning of my career were ones where they were working with people internationally. So sometimes the organization itself will already sort of know what the process is and can help you in that, or they might even, depending who they are, they might even help you get a visa and kind of facilitate that for you. So there's a lot of it really depends on what type of role and organization you're applying for.
Yeah, yeah,
There isn't like a
yeah,
size fits all answer.
yeah. I mean, this connects to something else as well, which might be worth mentioning, which is, employers often ask a lot of things in jobs. When you look at criteria, there can be very long lists of essential and desirable. They can stipulate some things like, I don't know, UK nationals only or something like that. And if you're really passionate about a job and you like the look of it, and perhaps you haven't got everything, but you got quite a few of the important things, and there's something maybe holding you back, I would make contact with the employer as part of your kind of due diligence, if you like, and get in touch saying that you're really interested in the role. You're not from the UK, but you have all these various things. Would they perhaps, accept an application from you as someone from Italy, for example? And you might be surprised, if they like the look of you, and you have sort of sold yourself to them, they might welcome your application. That might be something they might compromise around, in the kind of interview and acceptance, stages that come a bit later. So I wouldn't always look at something and say, oh, I haven't got everything, I'm not going to apply. Or they've said this and I haven't got that, so I can't apply. If it's really important to you, question it. Because if they do welcome you, perhaps they're not getting many applications and they're struggling and you look really good and they actually would like you in the set. When they come to review, you kind of stand out from the bunch because you've already been in touch. They remember your name, Malia, and so on. So if you're not sure or it's really important to you, I think my message is get in touch and ask, because it won't go against you, okay, but it could go in your favor. Next question. Will there be any further discounts as you're unemployed? Okay. In terms of this, must be for the Kickstarter. This is the lowest amount we can go. Okay, and it's probably worth saying right now. This will be the lowest amount we will ever go with the Kickstarter. Actually, I think this year the Kickstarter is likely to go up a little bit in price. We run other training courses at a slightly higher level, and we're going to sort of align them all. So apologies for you being unemployed. I appreciate that, but this is the lowest price we will offer it now and probably ever. So Friday is the kind of close for us on that. Next question, just dismissing that one. So does the CC Job Board have a large number of job opportunities globally, or is it mostly in the UK? Christy, you're well placed to answer that one.
Yeah. I just on the last point too, I wanted to add, like, we know that there's different accessibility in different countries, and the cost of the course, you know, is more or less accessible to different people. I didn't want to bypass that. But also I would encourage anyone who's considering it to think about not just the cost, but the value you get out of it. Like, having gone through the process I've gone through in my career, I would just, like, if I went back in time and graduated, I would just do it in a second. Like, I wouldn't even think about it. So if the cost it seems high and you're wondering if it's worth it, yeah, just think about, like, how that can ease the process for you, how it can streamline things, how it can probably save you money in, you know, getting experience, getting training. So yeah, I just encourage you to think about, like, all the value you get in the program. We try and make it as accessible as we can, and give you, like, all the support in the world that we can give. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to tack that on.
No, thank you.
Does the CC Job Board have a lot of job opportunities globally? Yeah, we're global. To be totally honest, we do tend to focus mostly on the UK and the US, and some other countries, but we share jobs from all over. And if you're not seeing jobs that, like, if you land on the job board and you don't happen to see a lot of jobs from your country, we have another resource, which is like our job archive, where you can go in and search for all of the jobs that we've ever posted in the past over the last, is it the 10 years? I don't know. It's a long time.
Just gone 10 years, yeah.
Thousands of jobs in there. And so you can use that as a tool to do your research. So you can search for the organizations that are coming up in a certain country and the types of jobs. So if you use that in combination with you know, anything that's available in your country, you should be able to kind of build yourself like a hit list of organizations too.
Yeah. Brilliant. I think the only the lens that we really look through is it's largely English speaking at the moment. So it's worth probably just saying that, yeah. So we cover very well kind of English speaking countries and English speaking roles. We haven't moved into other languages yet. We might do at some point.
Yeah. Someone asked earlier about kind of a similar question. And like, another way you can approach it is through networking. So finding communities, finding people using LinkedIn, using our community, using WildHub, going and finding communities where you can network with other people in conservation who can help you find jobs.
Yeah.
That's the way to get support.
Yeah, perfect. We are up on time. I'm happy to keep going, but I just want to kind of flag that we can't go forever, unfortunately. And I realize there are 34 questions in here. So just reality check, we probably won't get through all the questions. Okay, but we will pick off. I think what we should do actually, Christy, is just bounce quickly down as many as we can to get through like 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, and try and get through a few. So I'm going to go from top down. So Catherine, do you offer certified workshops, trainings, and will these certificates help to get a job in conservation? Yes, we do actually. Yeah, so we have kind of 3 foundational training programs off the back of the Kickstarter that you can also just go straight to if you want. Okay, and they're based upon a review of the sector. They are communications for conservation projects. They are project management, conservation project management and design, and fundraising for conservation projects. Okay, those are kind of core foundational skills that when we review jobs across the sector and talk to employers, this is what employers are looking for. So we've identified the kind of core skills that are transferable across lots of different job types. We've then developed curricula and trainings around them, and we've identified the key experts to deliver those trainings. So you can find them on our website under trainings. It's our training at the top, okay, and we can kind of walk you through that. And they're increasingly helping people to get jobs, okay, and increasingly recognized by employers as really important as well. So we're getting lots of employers kind of signing up their staff and cohorts of staff kind of going through these training programs too. So yeah, thank you for asking that question. Yeah, I appreciate that. Vincent, do you have any resources on average salaries for the different roles? For me as a career switcher, it's really is a guessing game and hard to find intel on. Great question. Yes, we do actually. Christy, I mean, yeah, you've probably done more research into that and shared some things already.
Yeah, so one of the resources we shared was the 11 key conservation roles. For each of those, we've tried to find as much information as we can. This question is a challenge because it varies organization to organization and country to country, and sometimes there just is no information available on salaries. But we've shared some examples. The other tool you can use for this is our job board and our job archive that we talked about, where you can go in and search past jobs, because then if the employer has given a salary, you'll see it there.
Yeah.
So that can help you in your research.
Yeah, and in the Kickstarter, as you kind of start to reflect on different job types, we help you to understand how important salary is to you. It's one of the ways of looking at a job, your own criteria. Many of us have mortgages and kids, and there's nothing wrong with needing and wanting a certain salary. It's not a dirty word, which it can often be perceived as, and we point you towards the jobs that pay more. Some jobs pay more than others, and we highlight those ones that are kind of higher paying and lower paying, and help people to kind of, to judge and focus based on that as one of the kind of key criteria. Yeah. So thanks for raising that, Vincent. Yeah. Gulstin, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Will we share this presentation? Yes, we'll be sharing a link tomorrow via email. So if you're on our email list, which I assume you are because you signed up to this presentation, yeah, we're going to be sharing a link, and it'll probably be on the website, I think, by tomorrow. Yeah. Rattling on, Anu Aurora. What is the difference between the Kickstarter program and joining the Academy? Okay, with the monthly or yearly subscription options. That's, yeah, great question. Thank you. Yeah. So the Academy, okay, in that you gain access to certain areas of CC Pro community that I showed you. Okay, so the resources and the community and the general areas. Okay, you don't gain access to the Kickstarter training, and you also gain access to the jobs in the Academy too. So the really big difference is the actual core training that we're kind of leading you through. If you join up to the Kickstarter, you don't need to be a member of the Academy as well, okay? Because there will be some overlap in terms of getting access to jobs and the CC Pro community, okay? The big difference is the actual core training program itself, and you get a year's access. You can't sign up for a monthly access to the Kickstarter. It's kind of 1 year, okay? So 1 year kind of one-off commitment. If you want to extend beyond the year, it's worth saying you can do that. Okay, so at the end of the year, you can extend for another year if you wish at a kind of far reduced rate. Okay, so it's actually the same. That would be the same rate as the Academy level. That's how we kind of price that difference. Okay, so it's the same at that point. Hopefully that answered that question. Yeah, thank you, Anu. Anonymous attendee, how do you determine if your volunteer organization might be potentially taking advantage of you? So, oh, that's gone down one. So how do you determine if a volunteer organization is potentially taking advantage of you? Oof, that's a big question. Yeah.
We have a couple resources where we answer. We basically answer that question via questions that you can ask yourself. You can ask about the organization. I will try and find those now, and I'll put them in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and if we don't get it in time, if you go to our website and search exploitation in volunteering, we did a whole podcast episode and a detailed guide on that. I think the short response to it is you have to look at the what you're putting in and what you're getting out. So for me, a volunteer should often be getting it out more than they're putting in. So putting in terms of time and effort, and sometimes, people pay for volunteering as well, and everyone's got a different reason for doing that, a different background. But if what you're getting out of it is really kind of essential skills and experiences and training that are really valuable to you and taking the right direction, they help you to explore different jobs, then that balance could be very much in favor. But it might be that you feel like you're putting loads in terms of lots of money and you're not getting some great skills out of it at that point, then really that feels like more exploitation. So it's actually quite a kind of personal thing as to, your own resources and what you're receiving as a result of that. But do have a look on our website, because we do talk about that on a very kind of long form podcast, and it's really interesting to to try and unpick it. And it's a good question to have asked.
I've just popped it in the chat.
Yeah.
The link.
Okay. Thank you. I think we should probably wrap up. I'm going to answer one more. Does the program have resources for working in other countries? Okay, from Stephanie. Thank you. So the Kickstarter, does it have resources for countries outside of, I'm going to paraphrase, the UK and the US and the kind of big English speaking countries that we're already working in? The short answer to that is yes. Okay, so it's truly international, it's truly universal. Okay, so it's not specific to a particular country or region or area of the world. Wherever you want to work in or wherever you're from, okay, the process that we lead you through is still highly applicable. It's still all about working on yourself, understanding the job market, and getting that clarity about where you want to go. It's then really about understanding, well, what steps do I need to take in order to get there? Okay. And then having done that, how do I then bridge and fill gaps? And how do I deliver great applications and deliver great interviews? So wherever you're from and wherever you're going, that process is still, rock solid and will work for you. Okay. And there are a lot of resources that we share. They're as international as we can make them. With the caveat of what we said, that we're working in English speaking countries. Okay. So there is definitely a bias towards that in our jobs board. But besides that, then the actual process and the system that we walk you through is very universal, very international. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your time and for joining us and staying with us. It's really good that so many of you kind of stuck with us to the end. We really appreciate you. We appreciate your time. Christy, I appreciate you too. Thank you so much for being a great co-host as always. You've put a lot of time and support and effort into this as well as you do with everything. So thank you very much for that. I hope you all stay safe and well. Thank you for all the wonderful hearts and emojis. I've not seen so many before. That's wonderful. We will share this recording tomorrow, okay, via email. You'll see it on our website too. If you are interested in the Kickstarter program, we would love to welcome you onto the program. You've got till Friday midnight UK, okay, to take advantage of the current rate, okay, and we'd love to kind of welcome you in and support you through this year, okay, and beyond too. So yeah, thanks again for joining. Christy, it's been fun.
It's been lots of fun. What a great way to start the year, I think. And yeah, this is just like the tip of the iceberg of all the things we could talk about and all the resources we could share. So we hope that many of you will join us on the journey, whether that's, just using some of the resources on our website, whether it's coming onto the Kick and being with us for a year. And I think above all, just going back to that, like, where do you see yourself at the end of the year? That's what we're here for, is helping you achieve that and making it happen. So we wish you all the best this year and in your careers.
Yeah, and also stay tuned. We are planning to do more training sessions, training webinars this year. We'll be promoting them through our website, email newsletter, and also through our social media following. So if you want to kind of have more training events like this, do keep an eye out for them. I think we're looking to do maybe 6 this year, so there should be another 5 coming down the road quite soon. We'd love to see you there as well. Okay, right. Well, thank you again, everyone. Stay safe, stay well. Perhaps we'll see you at the next training event. If not, we'd love to see you in the Kickstarter soon. Okay, all the best. Thank you so much for your kind words as well. We appreciate that.